mentioned that one of the 4 challenges, according to your research, had to do with access to funding.
Yes.
So how can that be bridged?
All right, so I think in making an ecosystem, you have to understand what are the different players that help an ecosystem to thrive for startups. For example, the funders in the market, right? There is no external funder who will move in a market when they have not seen how the local funders are moving in that particular market. So if you've got your pension funds in this country, they have the most patient capital in this country, and they are most positioned to be able to invest in something like a startup which needs more patient capital than your local banks, which have short-term money and require the return to be there. There must be a cash flow for them to put in money. So who's going to be funding that stage where there is no cash flow yet? So you need grant funding, right? You need something that helps move that business from being an idea to having a proof of concept where it's now generating revenue. It's proven that it has a market and it's attractive and it's showing prospects of growth. So that gap needs to be funded. And that's where your government funds come in, because they are more patient funds, because if they want to see more economic growth in the country, they have to be putting money towards the startups, because they will bring innovation that will help accelerate the trajectory of the economic growth of the country. So if you get your government partners, your development partners coming in, providing that grant funding, coming up with businesses and startups that give a good proof of concept that then attracts those pension funds to give a bigger investment to scale those businesses, your other short-term money and private sector investors will then come in at a later stage when the business is getting into its Series A or Series B of investment.
Right. Now, how can Zimbabwe, you mentioned digital innovations, how can Zimbabwe position itself as a tech innovation center? Africa is regarded as that continent that leapfrogged into the 4th industrial revolution. How then does Zimbabwe position itself? I mean, we can speak of Rwanda, we can speak of Kenya, we can speak of South Africa, but Zimbabwe is very much lagging behind, just like many other African counterparts. How does Zimbabwe position itself and transform its matrix to be strategically positioned?
All right, for a country to be a tech hub, you need to start promoting the local talent that you have, right? So, as I said before, the local movers are the ones that dictate the pace. Your biggest tech company in the country is the Econet group of companies. They have introduced a lot of tech innovation into the market. How are they investing in other smaller tech startups to show that there is an intent in growing the local tech startup innovation? That's one thing that needs to be seen. How is the government supporting such innovations? You've got the Ministry of ICT. It's got an acceleration and innovation fund that it has. How is that performing? How are those startups that have been benefiting from those tech funds and awards have been faring after getting that award? You see, such information and data helps then attract people who want to partner with local startups to be able to then grow the ecosystem. How is the ecosystem working? Are those local innovations, tech innovations, being taken up locally? Are big corporates, let's say, moving away from systems like SAP, which are not locally developed, to local innovations that compete with that, you see? So that helps then build that attractiveness to make this a tech hub, to see how much uptake of the local innovative product is actually going into the system and even being exported outside.